Okay, let me ask you something. What if the fate of an entire kingdom came down to one single choice? A choice between a perfect logical plan and a really, really flattering lie. Well, today we're diving into a story where ego, not smarts, is about to decide the outcome of a war.
All right, so picture this. You've just pulled off a massive coup. The capital city is yours. But there's a huge problem. Your father, who just so happens to be a legendary warrior king, is still out there. He's escaped. So what's your next move? For the brand new king, Absalom, this wasn't just some thought experiment. He needed a plan, right now, to take out his father, David, and make sure his throne was actually secure.
I mean, look, Absalom's got Jerusalem, so he's definitely holding some good cards. But he's not stupid. He knows that as long as David, this military genius, is still on the loose, his new kingdom is built on shaky ground. He needs a plan, a foolproof plan, to end this thing once and for all.
And who do you turn to for a plan like that? You turn to the kingmaker, Ahithophel. Now this guy, he was David's most trusted advisor. A strategist so brilliant, people said that getting his advice was like hearing from God himself. Seriously. The fact that Absalom got him to switch sides was maybe his biggest win so far. So now, everyone in the room is looking at Ahithophel, waiting for him to deliver the checkmate.
And Ahithophel, being the master strategist he is, absolutely delivers. He lays out a plan that's as brilliant as it is brutal. It's designed to snuff this war out before it even really starts.
Okay, so listen to this because it's a masterpiece. It's not about some big, bloody battle. No, this is a surgical strike. Ahithophel says, give me 12,000 elite soldiers. We go tonight. We hit David while he's exhausted and weak from the escape. And here's the genius part. We only strike down the king. That's it. Everyone else can come back. No harm done. It's clean, it's fast, and it's basically a guaranteed win. And you can just imagine the reaction in the room, right? Everyone loves it. Absalom, his generals, all the elders, they're all nodding along. They see how brilliant this is. The war's as good as over. The decision is made. Or is it? But then something happens. In this moment that's going to change everything. Absalom, who's feeling pretty good about himself, decides, you know what? Let's get a second opinion. Maybe he just wants to hear more people tell him how great he is. So he calls for Hushai, another one of David's old advisors. Here's the catch, though. The thing Absalom has no clue about. Hushai is a mole. He's a double agent, and he's secretly 100% loyal to David.
So just imagine the pressure on Hushai right now. The whole room just agreed to a perfect plan. And his job, his impossible job, is to convince them all that this perfect plan is actually a terrible, fatal mistake. And he starts with an absolute bombshell, directly challenging the guy whose advice is supposed to be like hearing from God.
See, Hushai is smart. He knows he can't win with logic, so he doesn't even try. He goes straight for the gut. He attacks with emotion. He starts painting this picture of David, but not as some tired old man on the run. No. He describes David and his men as cornered animals, like a ferocious mother bear who's had her cubs stolen, fierce, desperate, and ready to tear apart anyone who gets close. All of a sudden, Ahithophel's neat little plan sounds like a suicide mission. And then comes the masterstroke. After scaring them, Hushai pivots from fear to pure, unadulterated flattery. He starts talking directly to Absalom, offering him this incredible vision of glory. Not some small secret raid, but a massive army, all of Israel, as numerous as the sand on the seashore, with Absalom himself at the head, leading them into battle. This isn't just about winning a fight anymore. This is a spectacle. It's basically a coronation on the battlefield. So let's just lay these two strategies out, side by side. On one hand, you've got Ahithophel's plan. It's smart, it's fast, it's efficient, it's the safe, pragmatic choice. On the other hand, you have Hushai's plan. It's slow, it's way riskier, and it involves dragging the entire nation into a massive war. But, and this is the key, it has one thing Ahithophel's plan doesn't. It's all about Absalom. It's a giant celebration of his power and his glory. So the choice is simple, really. A quiet, guaranteed win, or a huge, glorious public spectacle.
And guess what? It works. It absolutely works. That 1-2 punch of fear and flattery is just too much to resist. Absalom and all his commanders fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. They pick Hushai's plan, they choose the grand, risky spectacle over the smart, sound strategy. They literally choose glory over a guaranteed win.
Okay, so Hushai won the debate, which is amazing. But the danger is far from over. All he's done is buy David a little bit of time. Now comes the hard part. He has to get a warning out to him, because if that message doesn't get through, all this was for nothing. David and every single person with him will be wiped out. And this message has to pass through this super risky chain of spies. We're talking one wrong move, one person gets caught, and the whole thing falls apart. It starts with Hushai telling some priests, who then get a servant girl to carry the message out of the city to a secret rendezvous point. From there, 2 runners have to grab it and race to David's camp with this life or death warning. And, of course, just as you'd expect, they get spotted. Absalom's men are right on their tail, closing in fast. But just when it looks like it's over, a quick-thinking woman saves the day. She hides the spies in a well in her courtyard and just throws a cloth over it with some grain scattered on top. It's such a simple but totally brilliant move, and it saves the entire mission. Somehow the spies manage to get away, and they finally reach David with that urgent message: get up and cross the Jordan River, right now. And David, being the seasoned commander he is, doesn't waste a second. All through the night, his entire group, we're talking soldiers, families, everyone, they all cross that river. By the time the sun comes up, they're safe on the other side. All because Hushai's deception bought them just enough time. So what happens next? How does that one single decision made in that one room completely change the future? Let's take a look at the fallout and the consequences for the 2 advisors at the heart of it all. For Ahithophel, this was about more than just a bruised ego. When his advice was rejected, he saw the writing on the wall. He knew with absolute certainty that giving David time to regroup was a fatal mistake. The rebellion was now doomed. So, with his reputation gone and knowing his side was going to lose, he just calmly saddled his donkey, went home, put his house in order, and then he hanged himself. And the original account gives us one final piece to this puzzle. It adds another layer, suggesting that maybe this wasn't just about human strategy and ego games. It frames the whole thing as part of a much bigger divine plan. The idea is that the Lord himself had decided to frustrate Ahithophel's good advice, specifically to make sure that disaster would fall on Absalom. So what are we left with? At the end of the day, the better strategy, the logical plan, just lost, plain and simple. Cold, hard logic was no match for a brilliant appeal to ego. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? When we're facing a huge decision, is the most logical advice always the one that's going to persuade us? This story is just a powerful reminder that sometimes, in the heat of the moment, the most convincing voice isn't the most rational one. And often, the thing we want to hear the most is the very thing that could destroy us.